Good evening to all of you. Well, we hope you'll enjoy the show.
Let me tell you something. Nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes. Boots on a shovel, kicking bodies at home. Burying seals that are left alone. Nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, yeah. Whoa, whoa.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Area 312 Rock and Metal Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kent, along with my co-host,
Rex.
Friends, today we're blessed. We're welcoming the entire band of the Brave, Stayce Roberts, John Spittle, Malcolm Paris. Welcome, guys. It's an honor to have you.
Great to be here.
Thank you for blessing us with your time. And I am stoked. Now, for starters, guys, let me just ask this question to each of you. How does it feel to have released one of the most respected and appreciated albums of 2021? That was Evie's Little Garden.
Something's going on down in Evie's Little Garden. Somebody said they saw us. Let me tell you something. Nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes. Boots on a shovel, kicking bodies at home. Burying seals that are left alone. Nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes.
I mean, it feels pretty good. I mean, considering that, we were out of the scene for 30 years. So, it's cool to see that we still have, a lot of people that dig the music, and it's just humbling, really. Because we don't do this for rich and fame, and things like that. We just do it for the people, and the love of music. So,
Well, Mal, you did it for
Stacey?
the people, and you did it in a big way, buddy. You guys came back in fine form. I mean, you guys nailed it. So kudos to each of you. John, what'd you think, man? Did the album meet your expectations when you were laying down the drum tracks for Evie's? Did you know you had something good going on?
Oh yeah, definitely. But it actually exceeded it because I didn't know what to expect. Stacey and I hadn't talked in a while, and we started talking about doing this, and he sent me some tracks, and I sent him the drums back, and then to hear it start to come together, it was better than expected, in my opinion. And it's great, and it's only gotten better since.
That's true.
And Stacey, we've had the blessing of talking to you at different intervals, and each time's been a blessing. And thank you for loving on us, and we want to love on you guys. You guys are awesome. Stacey, how did it feel? You've gotten the accolades, the band, the Brave, for the album. I know it's been a blessing to you and your heart for Evie's, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. The coolest part, quite honestly, guys, is we went into Evie's. We expected just to have fun and to just enjoy each other's company, making good music, But one by one, I think John and Malcolm will both agree, it was kind of like a puzzle piece because we had all these songs done, but when we started sending them to JR, I kind of knew what we were going to get back, but I didn't know it was going to, with every single song, JR just kind of kept pushing it a little further. And with every song we recorded, I could tell John was starting to push it a little harder. And then Malcolm would push a little harder. And by the end of it, we knew, I would say probably by the time we got to Creep, John, I think we knew that we're like, man, this is a good collection of songs, right? So I just kept spitting them out, sending them to the guys, and then I can't stress this enough. Anybody that's really a band person, no matter if you're the main songwriter or not, the thing that made the Beatles so great is they all not only knew that two of the guys were strong writers, and then followed by, George finally becoming a real strong writer, they all still needed each other to realize the full vision of those songs. So I could go into a solo album and, program some drums and just have these nice little ditties, but they wouldn't even be close to what happened with the synergy of the three of us, especially because the Holy Spirit's in the middle of all of it, right? So, I mean, you guys all know a good buddy of mine is Larry Worley from Fear Not, and he has had to deal with the pressures of how hard it is to put something together across many states. But I don't go through that. I don't even go through it with Larry. Larry spit stuff back to me, the stuff we're working on right now for the project we're working on. We work relatively quick. I mean, I sent something, John, there's been times where I've sent something to both of these guys. This was all throughout EVs. I'd send it on a Sunday and I'd have it back by Tuesday. So that's them having to clear their schedules, make time and do it. But yeah, I think one by one, it was almost like a puzzle piece. And every time another piece was added, another layer, whether it was JR mixing it or Brad mastering it, it just kept getting stronger and stronger. But the thing is, we've talked about EVs a lot. Let me assure you, Gravedigger is coming at a whole different level of, now there'll be people that'll compare the two records, but I don't think, I mean, what do you think, John? They're not really similar, are they? I mean,
No, the only thing similar about them is they got different styles of songs on them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So perfect segue, guys, because my next question here is today, we'll be speaking about the significance of the number 13. What I mean is 13 brand new songs released on August 13th, and that is Gravedigger. And that means for us as BraveNation fans, that's a lucky 13. That's what we call a lucky 13. So friends out there viewing this, today is June the 25th. And by the time you see this, this will be released on release day, August the 13th for Gravedigger. If you haven't already pre-ordered the album, there's still a chance to get into the kingdom of heaven if you will order the album today. That's a joke, of course. Only Jesus saves. Only Jesus saves. But
It's a
here's
serious joke.
Gravedigger drops today when you see this. It's August 13th. You can get it at thebravemusic.com. Isn't that right, Stayce?
Yes, sir.
Gravedigger!
Guys, in spite of its warm album cover colors, ironically, Evie's, of course, is a dark tale. Conversely, the album cover to Gravedigger, it yields a darker tone. Who's the name of the illustrator who did Evie's?
Hisham Hamzi.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I could pronounce it right. I have it written. So, iconic cover for Evie's. Did Hisham also illustrate Gravedigger?
No,
Okay.
we tried. As a matter of fact, he had accepted the job and then had to leave the country for a family situation. So we were forced to look for other talent. And I don't know the name of the person that, I mean, I have his information, and everything, but it doesn't say his name, but he's right along the same lines of talent as Hisham was. And, you know, Hisham also did Christmas Eve, or Christmas Eve, as we're going to call. And I think we are, by the way, I think between the three of us, we're trying to decide on because you did some versions of that album, Kent, where it said Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve. And I think we are going to call it one of those.
Christmas Eve day.
Yeah. So we are going to use that as the album cover, but he's supposed to be back around November, and we will use him again, but we'll also use this other guy again, because they're both just coming from two different places. But I loved, you know, the whole idea of Gravedigger when we get into the song is that our time on earth is limited, and we all end up on a list of when it's your time, it's your time. But there's a little trinket I want to share for the people that look at the album cover and they see all the names on the front. Those names, 3 of the guys in this interview right now are on that list, because we're in a band and we play together, we love each other, but our time's going to come too. But the other people that are on that list, 2 other people that you know, one that you don't, actually 3. JR's on there, the guy that mixes our stuff. No offense, JR, I hope you don't get on that list for a long time.
JR, Stacey's dragging you with him to the bottom of the pit, man.
And then it's also Luke Easter, who I'm also representing for him. And also Larry Worley from Fear Not. That's the Larry that you see on the list too. So just me getting some shout outs to some of my friends, and Sam from Australia. So
if you guys go, you can't take Larry Worley with you too, man. We got to have one of the band here. Come on, either Fear Not or the Brave.
That's right. That's right.
It's an eye-popping cover. No, Gravedigger's an eye-popping cover. Now, Stacey, did you tell me at one point that Luke Easter also maybe contributed some graphic design to it?
You haven't seen it yet, because we haven't seen it yet, but he's going to design the inside of the, he did the inside of the new Latter Rain And he was sending it to me. He actually did not only the inside, he did the outside. He did the entire concept with Lewis and Brad. And the whole album that he did just blew me. I was having dinner with him in San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and he showed me all the artwork. And I said, man, that's killer. So I came back and I told the guys, I go, hey, like, you know, the graphic designer we just hired didn't do the inside like Hisham did. So I reached out to Luke and said, hey, man, you want this gig? He goes, heck yeah, let's do it. So he's going to design the inside for us. So we do have a graphic for it, but he's going to do all the text and, you know, stuff like that. So
Very
cool.
nice.
He's a very good graphic designer. If anybody needs any graphic design, reach out to Luke Easter, lukeeaster.com.
John, you mentioned earlier, you were talking about some of the stylistic material regarding the new album's contents, Gravedigger. What similarities are there between Evie's and Gravedigger, and what differences are between them stylistically speaking? John, I'm going to ask you to answer that first because you kind of alluded to that.
Sure. So the similarity will be there's a different variety of songs. I feel that they're much heavier. They're heavier than the Evie's Garden overall, but they still have the big melodic vocal melody, great guitar riffs, you know, all that kind of stuff that Evie's had. It's just a little heavier in a lot of the spots. It's a little heavier album. There is still some of the lighter, more poppy rock stuff on there too. But I mean, you heard Gravedigger. It's heavier than what we did before. So that's the similarities and differences. And I think we all, you know, kind of found our zone on this one. The first one was everybody, you know, kind of getting used to each other again. It's been so long, you know. And then this one was like, okay, let's just turn it up a notch. Let's just do it, you know. And without saying that, we just all did it. So that's my take on it.
Gravedigger!
First of all, congratulations, men. Since the release of Battle Cries in '92, it's been 30 years. So we've had at least 30 years of the Brave. Thank you, guys, from 1992 to 2022. The other thing I was going to say, another congrats, and what's awesome is, and I, you know, I've got my Battle Cries here, and I've got Trust right here, and you know, I've shown you my Eevees, so I am a Brave fan. What's neat is that this is in the history of the Brave, we have two albums, which will be Eevees and Gravedigger, which has this consecutive lineup of you three guys. It's solidified, which is awesome. And so kudos on that too. And I was going to ask John if you guys did find yourselves locking into a rhythm, since you did Eevees together, and then with modern production and modern recording techniques, you know, has this go round proven itself easier for you guys since you guys were first able to lock in with Eevees? You know, are y'all kind of getting used to the techniques now with Gravedigger?
Yeah, I think we got our systems down. It's like the first record, Eevees, we were sending files back and forth, and we fine-tuned that, like, you know, just simple stuff like making sure it's a waveform or doing this so everything locks in, and just our little traits and how JR likes to get his stuff when he gets it to him. So yeah, it's been a learning curve, but it's been great. It's just improved and made it a lot easier.
I started using Cubase, which is what Stayce uses, when we cut Eevees. I had never seen it up until then. So yeah, so it was a pretty big learning curve, but thankfully Stayce knows Cubase really well, so he was able to tutor me on that. I probably drove him crazy with questions and stuff, but he was so good with it. So, but now I got it done pretty good. And for Gravedigger, it's been a lot easier. So.
Well, and like John was mentioning, from the songs that I've heard, he called it heavier. I would even call it maybe darker. It's a little bit more. Yeah, the new songs. There are a couple of songs that that I remind me of, like, you put the windows down, driving the car on the highway. But there's a lot of songs that's like, man, this is like, yeah, this is gonna knock your socks off. It's really rocking.
Yeah.
Well, John, you said something earlier, and I want to get into it. I want to get into that melodic, your all sense of melody that y'all been able to retain, even though the music is heavier and there's some variety. And I do want to kind of go into the different songs that I've been privy to hear. I also want to say too, because I don't want him to be understated. Malcolm, John, Stacey, J.R. McNeely, is he kind of the fourth Beatle here?
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, John would know better than anybody because he hangs out with them all the time. They met through this band, and now they hang out at least once a week, and they just kind of catch up and stuff. So
whenever I'm home, we hang out, and at least, yeah, like he said, once a week, catch up. Yeah, he's definitely a part of this band. He helps give us our sound.
Yeah, I was just kind of going over some liner notes, and I'm like, it's like I knew this, but I just suddenly became cognizant that, hey, man, JR's been with these guys since square one, and still going strong with you guys. And to me, that's awesome.
I think the best way to put it is he's George Martin for us. For what George Martin was to the Beatles, that's what JR is for us, because he's a lot like John and Malcolm with. It's hard to tell somebody when you write a song. It's hard to tell somebody what you hear it in your head, because you write what you hear in your head, and it's hard to convey that. I think there's so many great albums that didn't become that great because whoever was producing or engineering or mixing couldn't wrap their mind around that. Malcolm, like you'd remember when Neil Kernon mixed Battle Cries, we had no idea it was going to be that wet with reverbs and delay. We didn't know the drums were going to be that big sounding, but Neil Kernon from Queensryche, Dawkins. Man, he put a shine on there that was just beautiful. Well, JR is a lot like that. He can hear if it's a certain ballad, like case in point, guys, is Heaven Knows. Man, he made that so lush. We had all the parts. I mean, we did all of our work, but you got to have somebody that can understand what data he's got to work with. And JR's not looking at 8 tracks like George Martin was. He's looking sometimes at 70. I mean, we condense them down the best that we can, but if he's got a stereo pair of vocals, that could be 48 vocals. The guitars, that could be maybe 12 guitars, but they're all trying to represent one kind of riff, and you got to know how to fit those things in to where it just sounds like me. We only have one guitar player in our band, so even though I can put all these parts down, they got to be cohesive and sound believable, and he's great at that. So I mean, it's really helped out. But yeah, he's certainly a member of our DNA.
Gravedigger!
I'd like to ask Malcolm something real quick, or a couple questions, because it's Mal's first time to be here. So Malcolm, you and Stacey were part of the original band. And how long had you and Stacey known each other prior to releasing Battle Cries together?
Stacey and I met in 1981. So a long time ago. I was a sophomore in high school. Stacey was a junior. And it's funny how that came about. Stacey was real shy in high school because he had just moved there. I didn't know anybody really, so real shy. And we lived pretty close to each other. And one morning, really cold morning, I was driving to school, and I see Stacey walking down the street, and his hair is frozen almost, it
was an afro.
I pull over and roll down the window and said, "Hey, dude, you want to ride?" And he's like, real timid, "No, that's cool, man." I'm like, "Dude, it's freezing out there, get in." So he comes in, jumps in the car, and first thing I said was, "You like Iron Maiden?" "Yeah." Cracked it up to 11, and the birth of a friendship right there started.
There you go.
Inseparable
over Iron Maiden and freezing weather. That's awesome.
Yep.
Mal, I do have one other question, buddy, and you can always hit that pass button if you want to. But I've always been curious, and now had the blessing to talk to you on Trust. I didn't see you on Trust. It's not showing you as the bassist. Where'd you go, buddy? From the time between Battle Cries and Evie's, did you just go a separate way during this period for Trust?
Oh, actually, that's record for other songs on that album, but jump ship kind of in between. So, and the reason for that is I had gotten married in '91, and the wife she started kind of pressuring me about being home more and getting like a real career, because we wanted to have kids and a family and all that.
Sure.
And she just didn't see me being on the road all the time as something she'd want to do. Just she kind of pressured me into it. So and wife is number one, right? And
Sure.
when you're in a godly family, wife is number one.
The things we do for love.
So it broke my heart. It cost me to do it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And great album there, loved it. And the guy that took my place, Steve Owen,
Mhm.
has been a brother forever. I've known him for a long time. And still a brother. So there was no, there was never any like hard feelings or anything.
Sure.
But
Not at all.
Stacey and I continue to be best friends. Everything is fine. So, but like I said, it cost me to have to do it. But I felt like family counts,
Yeah. Oh, totally understandable. Thank you for answering, because I just always wondered, and now I know, and the things we do for love, right? John, my next question is for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Malcolm told me that you are currently on the road with Trace Atkins. You've
Mhm.
also you played with Trace for years. How did you hook up with Trace?
Well, that's kind of a long story, but a road manager, I used to play with a guy named Paul Brandt, that was a Canadian artist. And that road manager hired me through multiple gigs, a guy named Chris Cagle and all that stuff. So at the time, I was playing drums for Aaron Tippin, and I came off stage one show, and it was Steve Copeland. He called me and said, "Hey, Trace looking for a drummer. Are you interested?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm interested, but hasn't he been through like 10 drummers in a year?" And then he goes, "Yeah, but I won't call you. I didn't think you could do it." So I took a chance and did it. And I was with them for 10 years until I went through a divorce, got custody of my kids. And so I came off the road for a while. And once my kids were grown and all that kind of stuff, I'm back with Trace again for the last 3.5 years. So,
Very
yeah.
cool. Now, Malcolm says that you're spoiled riding on that tour bus. Is there any truth to that?
I am. I'm spoiled. I'll admit it. Yeah. Life's pretty tough.
Yeah. Well, now you came on board with the Brave during the 1994 Trust Tour. If you don't mind my asking, John, and then we're going to get into the songs for Gravedigger, but how did you hook up with Stacey and company?
Well, it was through Malcolm. So I guess Malcolm, correct me if I'm wrong, Malcolm, but Malcolm had just left the band, and I was filling in a band he was in called Loose Boot, a country band. And I was just filling in, and we kind of just hit it off. We locked in right away, hit it off personality wise. And he told me, "You'd be perfect for this band, the Brave, that I used to be in. These are my buddies." So I got a hold of actually Randy, I think, first. Am I right, Stacey?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I got a hold of Randy first, and started talking with him. We all hit it off, man. It was great. And I always felt like these guys were my brothers right from that start. So it was good.
Well,
And at the time, real quick, I do need to say, Malcolm's right. Malcolm was never asked to leave the band. Malcolm just, life called him. So it was very amicable. We were always friends. But when John came on, he and I weren't real tight. We knew each other. We liked each other. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
Mhm.
But he really struck a chord with my brother, with Randy. So they were two peas in a pod. I mean, they were like me and Malcolm were. They were inseparable. you know, so whenever we were all together, they were the ones just that really connected. So it made the band pretty strong on that Trust tour. I mean, we didn't do a lot of shows, but the ones we did, I mean, they were pretty tight. They were pretty good ones.
Yeah.
Something's going on down in Evie's little garden. Somebody said they saw us. Let me tell you something. Nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes. Boots on a shovel, kicking bodies in a hole. Mary and Sia's been left alone. Nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Gentlemen, this album to me felt like a homecoming.
Yeah.
Just seeing each of you guys together, you know, the Brave members that I knew growing up from the 92 and 94 albums. I mean, because I was listening to you guys when I was, you know, still a youngster, if you will. So I am so looking forward to Gravedigger. 13 songs again, friends, dropping when you see this today, August the 13th. TheBraveMusic.com is where you can place your order. I've been privy to hear 8 of the 13 songs. I'd like to talk about those songs that I've heard. Let me ask you really quick before we get into them. Stacey, John, Malcolm, is there a particular song on here which means something to you, especially personally? It could be from a specific part that you played on it, or maybe the meaning behind it, or is there one particular song maybe that has really reached out to you personally? What you got, John?
That's Undertaker. I mean, I like all of them. I don't have a favorite. And the reason why I don't have a favorite is they're all killer songs, in my opinion. Stacey's a songwriting fool. So, but
I'm a fool, that's for sure.
but what blew me away about it was he asked a question about, well, name a band that you want something wrote in, and we'll try and steer something that direction. So I said, King's X. And next thing I know, he sends us this thing it is King's X. I mean, it is just killer. It just blew me away. And the more we started laying tracks to it, the more it became that. So it just blew me away that he could just say, well, name a band. And I did. And in short term too, not a long time, he turned around and threw this song out. I was like, that is so King's X. It is so killer. So that's the song that stands out to me.
Wonderful. Well, I haven't been privy to that one, so I will anticipate, or what am I trying to say here? Wait with anticipation for it.
Yeah.
If Gravedigger had a cousin, he would be the Undertaker.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Mal, is there any particular song that's really stood out for you personally?
I'm gonna go with the single that we're releasing this next coming weekend called BraveNation. It's just I mean, the lyrics are just so awesome. It just tells a story about what we're seeing right now in the Christian music scene is all these bands from back in the day are coming back and making records. The ones that never left, like Striper, they're making records still. And that's what it's about. It's about, you know, all these guys, you know, the Christian nation getting up on stage and proclaiming, you know, and a harvest. That's basically what it's about. And, you know, we are the Brave Nation, not just the band, the Brave, but all of us, we are the Brave Nation. So I just really dig that. That's just cool. And
Well, I do
enjoyed
too, Mal.
the heck out of playing the song too. So has a really cool groove.
Yeah, that's
But
a
the
wonderful song.
lyrics really stuck. The lyrics really stuck out with me.
It's a wonderful song. Stacey, do you want to comment before we start diving into these?
I'm kind of with John. It's hard to pick one because they'll stick out to me. I'd probably go with two. I really enjoy the rhythm section on "Love Is the Only Place."
Mm-hmm.
It's a, you know, we talk about you know, if you look at the Gravedigger cover, it's dark in colors,
Right.
but what he represents is your time coming. And if you look up the staircase at the very top, there's a silhouette that Malcolm sent me of Jesus. So it's like Jesus is commissioning. It's not a judgment. It's just You know, the Bible says first comes death, then comes the judgment. We're just talking about the death. So as long as you've still got sand in the hourglass to decide what you're going to do with your life, you know, you always have a moment just to make that one proclamation. You know, you consider the fact that what are lyrics? You know, John's a killer drummer, Malcolm's a great bass player. I think I'm a decent guitar and keyboard player. But those are just the backdrops for the scenes. The script is what we're going to write about, you know, and titles seem to just kind of land on me. So like when John was telling me, he goes, there's a little bit more to his story. He says, yeah, I go, John, if there's like a groove that you like or something, just tell me what. And he goes, Dogman, King's X. And I said, right on, I'll go with something like that. So I listened to it. I'm like, okay, I know where this is going. And I said, I just started playing to that type of a groove, and it turned into The Undertaker. But the title was there right away. But then that's where I got to seek the Lord and say, what does the title mean? I know you gave me the title. I know it fits with the feel of this song. It's kind of like on Top Gun Maverick when he says, talk to me, Goose. It's me going, okay, Jesus, tell me what it is we're writing about. In Malcolm's situation, Brave Nation, it starts out talking about everybody's living in a new reality. You know, everybody's living in a world we haven't seen before. Now we're living in that end time prophecy where it says the things that are evil are going to be considered good. The things that aren't normal are going to become normal. And we're having to try and, we're not waiting for a sign at this point. We're waiting for the trumpet. I mean, we're seeing everything that Daniel and John in the book of Revelation talked about, right? So even though we've got this dark imagery on the cover, I love how Love Is the Only Place has this big killer rhythm section going on with these guys, and such a happy, positive, bouncy message. It's like what John was saying, yeah, we still have some of the poppy stuff. Well, you've got to, in a movie, you've got to have some drama, some tension, a release, a story, a theme, and a happy point at some, you know, something that ties it all together. And that's how we try to make our albums. So Love Is the Only Place is one of my, lyrically, melodically, I really love how it goes. Musically, I like what we're doing on it. But the other one is probably The Undertaker. The Undertaker just turned out to be this big bombastic Beatles, Queen, King's X kind of thing that we all just took somewhere else with it. You know, so it was one of those really great seeds that John planted. I watered, Malcolm gardened a little bit, and between all three of us, we cultivated into this really cool one of I think it's going to be one of the songs that Brave fans really, really love. And
Well,
same with Brave Nation too.
I haven't heard that one, but I can say, and I know Rex will testify, we're both big King's X fans, you know. They're classic material for me, but yeah, you guys are really whetting my appetite for that. But let's get into these songs here, one by one then, the ones that I've been able to hear. Gravedigger, I absolutely love the bluesy intro. You know, Stayce, you're singing, nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes. You know, it's awesome, dude. And then you guys just bring it. You know, Mal and Johnny kick it in. What was the catalyst? When did the idea first hit to use this as the album's title track for the whole, you know, for the whole album?
Let me tell you something. Nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes. Boots on the shovel, kicking bodies in a hole. Burying singers better left alone. Nobody knows where the Gravedigger goes. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, yeah.
I don't. This is something that happened with Evie's. It's kind of like what John said about the songs. It's really hard to. We have a lot of cool titles. You know, we always try to come up with titles that you're going to remember. You know, I don't want to write another one like you know, something that's just to me low hanging fruit. I don't want something that somebody else has ever used. I don't want something that sounds, you know, basic. I want something that makes you have to kind of tilt your head. You know, like when a dog hears a siren and he goes,
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Plus, I think that I don't know. I just kind of feel like once we have that title and the lyrics start coming about and the songs happen, we all agree that we like the song. But then when we move on to the next song, we forget all about the one we just did. So it takes about, what do you say, John, about maybe 6 or 7 songs before we might be kind of centering on a song that, like, we didn't know we were going to call Evie's Little Garden. We could have called it Creep. We could have called it anything. But I think about it, that halfway point, we kind of start getting comfortable with what maybe the album should be called. Because we got to, we don't have a record label. So we have to start thinking about the end product, how we're going to market it. And the three of us all agreed that Gravedigger could easily be misconstrued as a metal record. And it isn't. It is harder for us, but I think we're one of the only bands around that are kind of like in that Foreigner Journey, AOR kind of space for Christian rock. So we don't go too hard, even though we might. I don't know. Depends on what kind of mood we're in next year, right, John? Right, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in my notes, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to something that I had down, for Gravedigger, I put it's an all-out arena rock assault. And guys, pretty much the same thing for Bad Day. It's just another great, catchy arena rocker.
Bad Day also, I wrote down, has just a really good groove to it overall.
I'm not gonna have a bad day. Find a new place to home, 'cause I know just what you want. Another bad day. You picked the wrong place to play. You won't get in my way. I know you're
BraveNation, I love the lyrics to the song, and it's anthemic in nature.
Yeah.
And worshipful even. And guys, what I love about you so much is you guys really bring back that vibe from the late 80s and very early 90s. And you guys do put me in that arena, in that, that arena, that atmosphere where there's a crowd and people are having a good time. Not that every song's, fun in nature, but you guys, with the lighters and with the cheering and all that stuff, that's where you guys put me with your music.
Jesus, Son of God, how we get so lonely. You are the living word, you are my one and only. Jesus, King of kings, Lord of my salvation. To the cross, name lifted up, the God of every nation.
So we've touched on Gravedigger, of course. Bad Day, as I mentioned, it's just another great arena rocker. It's catchy. BraveNation, it's very anthemic. Eternal.
I've spent all of my life trying just to survive, with nothing but tears left to show. Oh, but now that you're here, I have nothing to fear.
Guys, I love ice cream. And I applaud a band when they dish out the same quality ingredients as in ice cream, yet are able to serve up different flavors. It's not always vanilla, there's chocolate, there's strawberry, and what have it. So I'm getting the same quality with Gravedigger as with Evie, yet there's different flavors between the two albums. Creep was a different flavor on Evie's. Well, a perfect example of this different flavor to me is Eternal and also Ghosts. With there's an artsy and a proggy flourish with each song. There's just a little bit of proggy flourishness or flourishing with Eternal. Stacey, was that a 12-string acoustic or a classical guitar at the intro and outro of Eternal?
I'm using 3 guitars. This one back here, it's a 12-string, but I only have it strung up with as John would know, the Nashville tuning. So I only have the octave strings on it. So what I do is I use my Martin for the actual picking piece, and I did it in stereo. So I did it on 2 tracks. And then I doubled that with 2 tracks of Nashville tuning on that guitar right there. And then at the very end, obviously in the middle of it, I'm using 4 or 5 electric guitars to build that big wall of sound to try and keep up with these guys. And then the solo is done on my pink Steve Vai Gem. My Ibanez guitar. That's the one with the handle on it, Rex. That you guys can see.
Yeah.
me
Oh,
with.
yeah.
And then at the end, I spattered a little bit of nylon string picking on it, and I'm going to share something with all of you that none of you know. The strings were so old, but I live in the middle of the mountains. I'm like, I didn't have time to go get any strings, but I'm like, well, let me just see if the mic will even pick it up. So they were really, really old strings, and I'm pretty fanatical about changing my strings before I record any song. Before I started, I always changed the strings, but I didn't have any. And nylon strings aren't always available in the middle of a resort town. So, but yeah, that's what I used on them. And then I used some string arrangements after I got the tracks back from the guys. And then there's a little haunting vocal melody that I doubled with a synth that I think really JR did a really good job of just sitting in the mix just right. So, and then at the end, I mean, yeah, okay, I'm playing all these guitars, but these guys are just going off at the end. There's just so many. That was one of those texts that they were going, I don't know if he's going to go for that, but I'm like, I love it all, man. I just love seeing where we can push it to, you know.
On certain songs, Stayce, your voice to me, it's always had just a touch of a Bon Jovi inflection to it. I mean, you have your own voice.
Absolutely.
You know what? On this song, I'm hearing little flourishes of Jeff Tate in here too. In certain passages.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
It's pretty neat. But Ghosts, guys, Ghosts, an almost proggy or Queen vibe going on here. With to me, to my listening experience, I'm getting, it's like an economical prog or a Queen vibe going on. It's left of center and artsy stylistically. I'm also getting some vibes of Alice Cooper, and I love it because I'm a huge Alice fan.
I love Alice Cooper.
What do y'all want to say about Ghosts?
Guys?
First time I heard it was killer. I mean, I didn't know what to expect when he said he wrote a song called Ghosts. But it's cool. It's cool. The intro's a little creepy, but cool. Makes your hair on your arm stand up a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, I totally dig it. It was a way for us to I don't know. I came at the song from a different view. I didn't want to make it just kind of straight ahead drum stuff,
Yeah.
And Stayce maps out drum stuff pretty good on his demos that he sends over. So, I mean, he gave me a good roadmap, but I just tried to make it my own. So,
well, that chorus though, the chorus, John comes in and he goes, "I've got ghosts." Da, da. I love that. But every time John bends my ear, I always go, well, it's going to take me a minute because I hadn't, I've heard my demo 1,000 times before I send it to him. So I have to reprogram my listening. That's why I'm always so glad that JR mixes our songs because, and the three of us trust him implicitly, but he's a master musician. I mean, I don't know that have you ever got to see him play anything, John?
No, but I see all his one-man band stuff, so I know how good he is.
Yeah, he's just like us. I asked him one time, I go, why don't you just join the band, JR? And he goes, oh, we're good in band formats. I said, all right, well, we'll just keep it like this. But he has some creative license. Half of that creepy intro that you hear on the intro and the outro, some of it was me. The rest of it, JR, he works for a company that I believe he mixes soundscapes, to some degree. And I think sometimes we benefit from that.
So, guys, what about tempos? I mean, a classic vibe, catchy chorus as always expected from the Brave. I'm digging the pulsating chords. I don't know if those are those considered arpeggiated chords. I just said pulsating because I don't know if they're technically arpeggiated, but just the kind of like something you hear from Dawkins or something.
Yeah, they're just sequences. They're just these pulsing sequences. When I play them on keyboards, I'll just sequence them and then let them carry the verse a bit. But once we get into the bridge or the pre-chorus, we start building on it with a little bit of guitars, and then second pre-chorus, you hear the background vocals come in, and by the third time, everyone's just going nuts. This song actually, I like the message in Temples. And we all come to a place in our life where God just says, you know, you're building all these magnificent things in your life, but you're starting to forget about me because you're building the wall so high that I can't see over. So I'm going to tear these walls down so we can rekindle this relationship. And that, you know, the song sounds kind of aggressive, but really at its core, it's all about God's heart for us. And anytime we put things around us, I could have a million lights and a million guitars that everybody'd be so impressed with. And I have about 12, 13 guitars, but no one ever sees them because I don't need to they're mine. I don't need anyone to go, wow, that guitar player has guitars. I don't care about that kind of stuff. But if the guitars got bigger than my Bible, then I wouldn't have any guitars because God would find a way to remove them from my life. And so that's what Temples is about. It's about, while you are here, you know, don't build up this wall between you and the Lord, because at some point he's the one. So when you listen to those lyrics, it's God talking to someone saying, I'm going to tear these temples down. I'll take them brick by brick and chuck them all over the ground. You know, I think one of the things lyrically that I'm getting better at is I just, if it makes me laugh or it makes me think or if it makes me tear up, then I know it's a good lyric, you know, so.
Well, and from the songs I've heard, Stayce, this might be up there with almost my favorite song, and it really has that 80s vibe to it also, I feel.
Almost a little Ride with the Rhythm-ish, you know?
Right, exactly.
It's kind of almost in that same, it's in the same key, I can tell you that.
Okay, okay.
Well, what about Heaven Knows? We've heard the demo to that. It's a classic AOR song in nature, and it's that's one I can hear on the radio, you know, if you will, like kind of a white snaky ballad or something. So your thoughts on Heaven Knows?
Heaven only knows.
That was the first song I wrote for this record. That was a Sunday afternoon, and I was, you know, Evie's had kind of starting to blow up, which I don't know how, guys, but it keeps selling and people keep loving it. And
Yeah, it's
well, of course I know how, but you know, we get reports, and Malcolm and I read them all the time, and then we'll share them with John. But we are bouncing back and forth between countries who are listening to us. We have shipped the vinyls and the CDs to Japan, to Sweden, to Norway, to Ireland, to England. Lee Spence from Iridium Reviews has been wonderful to us, has really embraced us, and really, he's even wore a shirt when he was reviewing the Scorpions, which was pretty cool. The way that people were receiving EVs really kind of blew us away, but it didn't take me much long after it was, you know, everything was done, everything was shipping, everybody's getting what they needed, to sit down and start writing. And John and Malcolm were laughing at me going, dude, the paint's not even wet and you're already writing. And I go, well, I got this song I need to show you guys. So the first one I sent to him was Heaven Knows, but I think Gravedigger was followed. The next one up was Gravedigger. I'm just sitting on my couch and I thought, Gravedigger sounds pretty cool. I don't know where it even came from. And I started singing, and this is how all my choruses come. They all come just all at once, out of nowhere. I could be walking in the park. I could be doing what John's doing right now and all of a sudden get a riff. So I'll sing it into my phone. And I just sit there and go, everybody knows that the Gravedigger goes. And I go, well, how crass can I get here? And I go, boots on a shovel, kicking bodies in a hole. I just crack up thinking about this guy just standing there going, dunk. Because that's really, when your spirit's gone from your body, what are we? We're just, you know? So, but yeah, Heaven Knows, I think it's a real, I think it's a moving ballad. You know, this another thing we've got on this album that you haven't seen on a Brave record before is 2 ballads. So Heaven Knows and Eternal, even though Eternal breaks out into kind of a more power rock song, it's a really nice slower song, and it's the only song we've ever done in 3/4.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah, that is the only one. So,
well, guys, the last song that I was privy to hear, and I think Rex has already touched on it, but Love Is the Only Place. And, you know, in my notes, and I think you might have said this too, Stacey, to me, there's like this light and airy feel to it. To me, it's the Love Automatic of Gravedigger. It just has this feel good vibe. John, your drum intro on Love Is the Only Place just absolutely kicks. You know, Stacey, your guitar solo is great on there. Malcolm, you're always laying the groove, buddy. You are the groove.
Love Is the Only Place was one of those songs where I can just see myself driving down the road, windows down, just, you know, listen to that song, and just that brings you back to, you know, like when we were teenagers or early 20s, and just, you know, that whole scene and whatnot. Definitely Love Is the Only Place. That's really one where you just put the top down and go.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. That's a good way. That's how that song feels. And all these songs should evoke something out of you, you know.
Yeah.
Gravedigger should let you know that you're about to hear a great record. And I think that's why we ended up settling on that, is because from all 13 songs, we all agreed it was, I mean, we had about 5 songs that we could have centered the whole album around. But because, you know, lyrically and content, Gravedigger is talking about our mortality and our limited, you know, our life is like but a vapor. The Undertaker, now the Gravedigger's coming once it's done. The Undertaker's getting you ready for being done. And so there are some thematic things that roll around, even though this isn't a concept record, but there are a few things that touch on the same type of mortality that we're all faced with.
Friends, I want you to know, in my opinion, you're going to be hard pressed to find a more genuine band than the Brave. They're just, from listening to Gravedigger post Eevees, to me, the Brave just does what they do best. And that's, you guys bring the good time, hard rock, and classic metal vibes of the late 80s and early 90s. You guys just bring the fun, the party back, not to diminish any of the message in there. But musically, it's just, there's a feeling that you can only get, those of us who know, when we grew up in the late 80s and early 90s, that style of music, it evokes a certain overall general feeling. And you guys are so good about, you know, still giving that out to us, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
Did you make it to the bus, John?
I'm on the bus.
Look at those plush seats. Would you look, Malcolm?
Yeah.
Those plush seats.
Wow. He's really got it rough, Kent.
Poor guy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That was the only place for me. Was kind of out of left field. Loved the song, and I loved it right from the beginning. But I was kind of like, where the heck did this come from? You know, because it doesn't really fit anything else on the album. But the cool thing is Stacey and I never really got into new wave or anything like that, but we loved the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, California rock, loved it. And so I'm thinking that's kind of where that was the only place it came from, is our love for the chorus, because it's kind of got that chorus kind of maybe some The Cure a little bit. I mean, it's like a dance song. It's like, well, but I absolutely love it. Love playing it, recording it. It was fun. Fun tune.
Well, it's funny too, because Malcolm's daughter was going to get married, and she wanted to use the song at her reception. Well, one of the things that the Brave does, just a little insider Brave tidbit, is we always send them to JR in the order that they go on the album. I don't know why we do that, but that's just, it makes it easier for us to watch the album unfold. So the track listing you see on the back, that's 100% how we're going to send them to JR in order. With this one, I said, well, Malcolm, if she wants to use it for her wedding, let me see if I'll just send it as one of the next ones. And we were about 3 songs back from where it should have been. Right. So I sent it, but unfortunately, it came the day after her wedding. So I wasn't able to, I tried. And JR, JR's working a job and trying to do everything. And he mixes very fast, I'll tell you that, but we just barely missed it. But it went from being a song that Malcolm was like, I don't really know if this is us, to my daughter wants it at her wedding. So, and that's saying something about hooks. One of my favorite things about Brave songs, this version of the Brave, which to me is the true version of the Brave, because in my heart, when it's done, this is how I hear the songs when I send them to them. I know they're going to be something great. I know they're going to be something, I know heaven knows it's going to be a powerful ballad with a little Beatles in there and a little bit of Foreigner. But I just can't wait to hear what the guy's going to do. So them playing their parts turns me into a fan of my own song. It's really bizarre, right? So, I mean, I listen to them and I still listen to them like I would somebody else's album. It's almost like you step out of the band, John. I don't know if you guys feel like that, but it's almost like you're listening to one of your favorite bands, but it's your band,
Gravedigger!
Rex, I've got just about 3 more questions, but they're not pertaining to Gravedigger. Did you want to say or ask anything more about Gravedigger?
I mean, I didn't think anything could top Evie's, but I actually think that this is going to be, it's going to top Evie's, which is, I feel really saying something. But from the songs we've heard, I'm like, this is, you guys, you hit Evie's out of the park. I don't know, this is on a whole another level even. And I think John kind of alluded to that, like with Evie's, just kind of getting everything together again. And now that you had like one album under your belt, like I think this one, like you really hit your stride and you just, it just went to that next level. So I'm really excited for August 13th.
There's a lot to love on Gravedigger. Sure is.
Love is the only place where I belong. Love restores the innocence to carry on. If heaven is the cornerstone, there's just one thing you need to know, and love is the one thing that'll never let you go.
I will tell you guys the one thing that the 3 of us talk about, because and we know we're going to read some reviews that are going to say, well, it's not as good as Evie's or it's better than Evie's or whatnot. That's of zero concern to us. What we are trying to do is add to the legacy of Evie's. So Evie's was chapter 1, and this is chapter 2, and chapter 3 is going to take it even further. So, but I'm glad you feel that, Rex, and I'm thrilled that anyone even takes the time to listen to us. And you guys are so great to us. You're always helping us, put our stuff out there, and we love you for it. And we'll make sure that you have the CD before anybody else does, because as soon as they drop, they're getting in the mail to you. You can add them to your collection. But it's not, it's kind of like what Malcolm's got on his screen. Next year, you can look at that screen and he's going to have something else on it, because and shortly he'll have the Christmas album on it if I can finish it. It's coming out this year, though. Don't fear, it will. I'm gonna have a busy summer. So
all I was going to say was I'm just glad the Brave's back.
Yes.
The Brave is back, so that's what's awesome. And that's what Rex and I are really just trying to say is we love you guys, and we love what you guys deliver, because you've been doing it since 1992. And that vibe is still here, right here. And I know, and it's still there with Gravedigger. I've heard it. So, friends, if you're a fan of that stuff, Gravedigger won't disappoint. Gentlemen, what are the odds of a Brave tour happening? And if not a tour, just about playing out on some select dates? I would love to see one with your brothers in Fear Not. If we could see the Brave Fear Not tour, that would rock.
Well, logistically for it to happen with everybody understanding our situation, Malcolm talks to a lot of labels. He's got some friends in some pretty high places with some of the bigger labels, but our age, I'm sure, would be a consideration for people. But look at what John does for a living. He tours. For anybody to think that we wouldn't be able to deliver, they're sorely mistaken. And I don't say that from a point of anything other than we would love to go out on the road. But to do it,
Absolutely.
I'd have to have 2 more guitar players and a keyboard player, and they all got to be able to sing, because that's a lot of vocals to cover, and I can't do it as just me and Malcolm. It won't work. To make
you
it
don't want to hear
sound
me
the way
sing.
John, I've heard you sing. That's why you're no. No, if the 3 of us got to play together, because we've been in discussions with each other about how we would cue Malcolm. We've thought about a light system in terms of something to be able to see the count ins with the accent being on the 1 to make them brighter so he knows when to come in. But we don't go, well, we won't be able to do it because Malcolm is hearing impaired. We'd go, how do we do it to accommodate Malcolm, because he's a killer bass player. And he's also, our right-hand guy. So it's like, he's part of why you like the Brave, right? So he's part of this DNA. So I'm D, there's N, and there's A. So the 3 of us would have to hire a couple more guitar players, because I cannot, there's no way I can sing and play keyboards and play guitar at the same time, because I only have 2 hands.
What?
Yeah, I know that. I know, John. I know you think that I can't. I've been lying to you about all this, man. I do actually do separate takes.
Well, the reason why I brought it up, and I understand, and with all respect to John, naturally he tours with Trace Atkins, but Rex is going to this BMI event center in Ohio, in Versailles, Ohio, come September, and it's got all these bands that we love. I believe Fear Not's even going, and man, wouldn't it be something on select dates, just here and there, to see the Brave in the lineup? Because you guys rock, man.
Invitations have come our way for a lot of things. I mean, everything from the hard rock to tours, but we have to kindly decline because we don't have tour support, and we would only go on the road to do it the right way. I know how John plays, I know how Malcolm plays, and I know how we sound together, and it's dangerous. So if a label took us on and gave us tour support, sign us up. We're ready to go. I mean, we would love to do it live, and we would be one of the best live bands that there is, because one of the things these 2 guys can tell you is what I'm like in rehearsal, guys. Am I kind of a tyrant in terms of I want it perfect?
Oh yeah, but in a good way.
Wired.
In a good way. In a good way.
But the problem is, these guys love that. They love it to sound the way it's supposed to sound, and they put in the work. I put in the work. If anything, I would have a big task, because there's a lot for me to pull off, and I would be like a kid in a candy store trying to figure out how we're gonna do this. And one of the things that I will say about the Brave that we're very, very fortunate to have is a repertoire. We had a lot of songs to choose from. I mean, in the last year, I don't know if you guys have ever counted this, but I think we put out 26, 27 songs in a year. So maybe 2 years, I guess.
Not bad.
So we got a lot of songs we can choose from. So if I'm ever having a tough night, I can go, hey, I can't do this one tonight, but I can do this one. So I would love it. I mean, it would be a dream. It'd be a dream for all 3 of us.
And for us as fans too. Stacey, you've talked about Christmas Every Day, or Christmas Eve, or Christmas Eve. Malcolm, John, has Stacey roped you all into that album yet? Have y'all been laying down some tracks for Christmas Every Day?
Not yet. We've been finishing up Gravedigger and getting that, but we'll get right on that. That's not going to take any time. I mean, Stacey's already writing stuff
Right.
And these are, that's going. So
Just remember one title,
that
gentlemen.
won't take any time.
No, just remember one title on the Christmas record. The Drums of Christmas. Just remember that I said it here because it's going to be one of the best songs we have, period. I've already got it written, but you guys haven't heard it, but they'll hear it within the next couple of weeks. But I'm trying to finalize, August 13th isn't that far away. So I'm trying to finalize, I do pre-production, then I send everything to them. Then when it comes back, I have to do production and finish some things up before I can send them to JR. Tomorrow, or hopefully tonight, but probably tomorrow, I'm sending 2 more to him, and then there'll only be 3 left to mix. But as soon as that's done, I'm all about the Christmas album. And then when that's done, I'm going to finish up what Larry and I are working on, and then maybe take a breath in January, and then I'm going to inhale. And the 3 of us are going to decide what we're going to do. We've talked about a double album. We've talked about bringing some songs back from Rise. So we're never gonna. We don't want this to get boring for our fans. So we get nothing out of giving you Use Garden 2 or Battle Cries 2, but we love sharing Gravedigger or whatever's on the horizon, our Christmas album, whatever's next. And plus, me as a fan, I'm a fan of both of these guys, and I love them to death. So I love. There's this. If you listen to Brave Nation, John has all these things that he sneaks in, and he thinks he's such a sneaky guy. But like on when I go, the cities burn and evil's yours, and he goes, and it's real fast and just squeezes it in. But I look forward to every single time I just hear this intensity, and I'm like, oh, that sets it up. Because the whole thing's supposed to be the world's so bad and things are going so bad, and we're waiting for Jesus' return. And here we are standing on top of a rock going, the enemy is at the gate, so let him hear this sound. And it's supposed to be all of us saying, Jesus, Son of God, how do we get so lonely? How did we lose our way? But those drums, man, they set up that chorus so nice. I mean, and Malcolm's just thumping through the whole thing, just writing it out. I love talking about the job these guys do, because anyone who thinks this is a one-man deal, it is not. It's paramount for me to, I take a 12-note scale. In a major scale, you can only use 7, major or minor. So I don't have a lot of notes to choose from, so I got to pick my battles wisely. But I try to make them sing alongable before these guys ever hear them, and then they go to work. And man, I'm telling you, I don't know how many bands are fortunate enough to have this kind of chemistry. So I'm very, very lucky to be in the position I'm in with the Brave. Is it my band? No, it's our band. The 3 of us. We're the Brave. You're looking at the Brave.
Jesus, Son of God, how we get so lonely. You are the living word. You are my one and only. Jesus, King of kings, Lord of my salvation. To the cross, name lifted up, the God of every nation.
We're just having a blast. I hope we get the chance to do it live.
You guys certainly delivered some great arena rockers to my ears with Gravedigger, the album. You mentioned again, Brave Nation. I can't state how much, of an anthemic quality that song has, even a bit worshipful in nature. Stayce, you did mention you and Larry Worley working on material. Larry, if you're not, what style of material is? Can you give us a brief synopsis on what style of material that will be?
Right now we have 3 songs, and they couldn't be more different from each other. One's kind of a Beatlesy type of contemporary song. The other one, there's a song that John played on called Heavy. It's a really cool. It'll fit right into the marketplace with Fear Not over here, the Brave here, and here's whatever me and Larry. I think Larry and I are going to call the project 7. So it's a perfect number. We like that. So. And I can't believe no one's used it. I think I just let the cat out of the bag, but it's what you'd expect from Larry or myself. With Larry, you get drop D guitars. He likes the open D string. I always razz him about it, but comes up with some cool. That Fear Not record sound you've heard. If you haven't heard the whole thing, I have, and it's killer. But it's chords I'd never use because I don't ever go down to drop D for very much stuff other than Dirty Water and Don't. But he's got a song that I can't say enough about. It's called Silver Mountain. There's a YouTube video of him singing it, but he sent me the tracks about a week ago, and I've already cut all the guitars, and I'm halfway through with the vocals because there's a lot of vocals, background vocals on it, but it's one of the most heart-wrenching songs lyrically that as a songwriter I appreciate, because Larry wrote it by himself, and it's just gorgeous. So it's going to be a really rewarding record, and I think people are going to, I don't know how big it's going to be yet, because we both have been trying to release albums, and they just kind of seem to, John, how far apart was their single when we released Gravedigger? They were like within 24 hours of each other, right?
Yeah, they were.
I think ours came out the day before and then theirs came out the day after, or vice versa. But we're both trying to release these records and still find time to work with each other. But we talk usually about once a week. We'll do Zoom like this, and we'll sit and talk and just see how each other are doing and talk about the tracks. And but you guys will love it. It'll be, and you will get it. So don't worry about that.
Oh, Rex and I feel, I don't want to speak for Rex, but Rex, I don't know about you, but I know we do a lot of talking, and don't you feel blessed as a fan? I do. Here we are in 2022, you know, back in 92, 93, we had the Brave in 92, we had Fear Not come out in 93, and then, you know, been blessed with some other albums by them, but here we are in 2022 and still getting to hear new music from both bands, you know, the Brave and Fear Not.
Well, and like Stacey said too, I mean, when we started this whole Area 312, you know, I wasn't expecting this, and I'm going maybe down a rabbit hole, but like Stacey says, I mean, I consider Stacey a friend. I mean, you know,
totally.
We've never met in person or whatever, and Larry and those guys too. I mean, we've had enough discussions and just whatever. I mean, it's kind of cool, like these bands that you loved, and you're like, man, 30 years later, you're going to be talking with them and texting them. And, you know, it's like, what? Are you crazy? I mean, but it's awesome. I mean, yeah, we're just so happy that you guys are still all making music. And, you know, we just want to support you as much as we can, because the world needs this kind of music and lyrics and everything that, you know, will help people and uplift people and guide them.
I'm not gonna have a bad day. Find a new place at home, 'cause I know just what you want. Another bad day. You picked the wrong place to play. You won't get in my way. I know you're
The thing is, guys, is also the world needs what you're doing, because I can't tell you, you've seen offshoots of, you know, of reigniting this flame of Christian rock music. You know, we didn't have this medium back in the day, and now you guys are doing this, and there's other people that are starting to do it as well. They're doing it, and it's cool to see you guys all interacting with each other, but you guys aren't just our friends. We kind of feel like you're part of our team, you know. We know when we put an album out that we're going to be talking with you at some point.
Oh yeah.
And couldn't be more appreciative of it. And we're all six, you know, counting Mike as well, in different places in across the nation. And people from other countries are going to watch this. And it's just amazing how the music, how God allows us to create music. You know, he gives the Brave a song, and we perform it and we record it, but then we get to share it with, you know, on this platform, on Joel Walker's platform, on Apple Music, on and by the way, guys, we just got added to Peloton.
Oh, cool.
Did you know that, John, Malcolm? So Peloton has a music thing that they use as well. And as I was releasing these singles, I saw that one of the stores we were now added to was Peloton. So now if somebody wants to sweat to the oldies or sweat to the Brave, you can do it.
So John doesn't have to do any more power walking. He can now get on Peloton and listen to the Brave.
That's right.
There you go.
Gravedigger.
Gentlemen, this has been a pleasure. Malcolm, John, Stacey, thank you. Thank you for blessing us with another great album. Thank you each for being a blessing. And we genuinely thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
I am going to, if you don't mind, we always like to keep the main thing, and just read a scripture from God's word. And we will close it out after that. But once I close it out, please stick around for one more minute when we finish recording. Malcolm, John, Stayce, would you guys like to say anything before we head to scripture closeout?
I just like to say appreciate y'all having us, and I saw you at Stacey a couple times, so it's good to meet you guys in person. I really virtually.
Well,
So thank you.
it's a pleasure to have you, Mal.
Yes.
My favorite part, I think it was the Evie's video. I can't be for certain which one it was, but when Evie's
It was
came
run
out,
to you.
huh?
It was run to you.
And Malcolm's at the end and he flicks that pick. Mal, you're the man. I'm like, I told Stacey, I said, Malcolm's the coolest, man. You were hitting those bass strings, man, and those things were just flapping. You were playing, and then you had your pick and you just flicked it. I said, with authority, Malcolm Paris flicking that pick. Anyway.
It.
Rock star.
You guys are a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys.
So scripture closeout, guys, in my particular version, translation of the Bible that I read, this comes from John 16:33. And it says, in the world, you will have troubles, but be brave. I have conquered the world. And that was the Lord Jesus talking. Some translations, say be of good cheer or take heart. This particular translation that I read from, it says, but be brave. I have conquered the world. And one of these days is the Brave Nation, gentlemen. We're going to be singing to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, just like in your song, and giving him the glory.
Amen to that.
Yeah, he is our King, and he will deliver us. And so anyway, that's good news. Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys,
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Bye.
I gave rock and roll to you. Gave rock and roll to you. Put it in the soul of everyone.
All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Area 312 Rock and Metal Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kent, along with my co-host,
Rex.
friends. Today, it's such a blessing. We are welcoming the entire band of the Brave, Stayce Roberts, John Spittle, and Malcolm Paris. Welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, let's cancel that and start over for a second. I gotta get that heating pad off my couch. I'm too old.
Rex, I see a blooper reel.
Show you a cool picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He just saw his best side.
It's
Yep.
right by my Bible.
That's a blooper at the end of the video, I think, if
Oh,
everyone
no.
watches till the end.
That's my better half.